Welcome back to Synergy Bonus. A bunch of guys like to sit around and talk about video games.
And games in general.
And how much sleep deprivation we've got.
Sleep deprivation, the game.
That's not the game, that's just your life.
That is my life,
All right.
Unfortunately. Anyways.
Anyhow, tonight we're reaching back into our Super Nintendo bag for another memento of the time when Capcom was the god of video gaming.
And also contributed to sleep deprivation. Tonight, we are talking about Super Ghouls'n Ghosts on the SNES.
Originally released in North America on November 28th in 1991.
Whew, Super Ghouls'n Ghosts.
Alright, so it is a direct follow-up to Ghosts and Goblins on the Nintendo Entertainment System. You once again assume the role of the knight Arthur.
The princess was simply mad for such a partnership.
In this point, it actually is a direct sequel. You've just been reunited from your quest with the princess, who, to the best of my knowledge, to this day remains nameless.
No, I think her name was Perry Perry, but my phone is dead. So I couldn't tell you. I will have a
confirmation later. And who has been kidnapped once again by the Emperor Sardius, or if you didn't have localization issues, Samael, the Demon King. And side-scrolling shooter, side-scrolling platformer, run to the right and shoot.
And that's the thing. Your first weapon is a lance, and you fucking hurl it at
because that's how lance
ghouls and ghosts.
Mostly zombies and werewolves, but
right. Well, that's a lot of stage one for you.
Yeah. It's a fun game. It's got a big epic look and feel. It still holds up very pretty to this day compared to something like, say, Time Spinner. Mm-hmm. And there's the epic string music as you get in there, and that first time that the ground just wells up and there's all of the mass grave underneath. It's a wonderful thing.
It is a wonderful
atmospheric
thing. This game is hard. Let's just get that out there.
This game defines hard.
This game defines hard.
It may be the most difficult game on the Super Nintendo.
But the thing is, if you die 9 times out of 10, it is your fault and your fault alone. Mm-hmm. I have encountered some bullshit that wasn't my fault, like
skulls falling.
Yeah, it's like I know I was there, and it's like it clipped me, and I'm like I was far enough over. Like that's not my fault. So, but most of the time it is bad jumps. Mm-hmm. It's mostly bad jumps, honestly, because you're trying to clear an enemy or clear a platform or dodge some sort of attack, and
you're literally one person taking on the entire horde of demon army. There's a lot of people, and they use swarm tactics very often.
Yes, they do. It should be noted that you start the game with 2 hit points. You have your armor, and then you have your underwear, and then there's death.
Yep. Yeah, Arthur, very well renowned for spending most of his game in his heart print boxer shorts.
But you can add up to, I believe, 2 more HP on this.
Yes,
with the regular
armor,
silver armor, and then the green armor.
Gold armor.
Gold? Gold. Green. There's green armor too.
Oh, okay. I know gold is the top tier.
We will get a confirmation on this too, which is sad because I just beat this game for the first time, mind you. Probably about a month or so ago, and it took me a good while. And a few years back, we attempted it together, and
just trading off as we got too frustrated.
It was a trial in patience.
It was like 6 to 8 hours that we were just playing this game.
Yeah, we got to the last level and just said, "That's it, enough, done." Well, there's a little
bit of Ghouls'n Ghosts lore that it's a 30-year-old game, so some of you might know.
So when you go to the end and you fight your final boss, the game doesn't end, credits don't roll. The princess comes up and says, "Hey, you need the goddess bracelet
in order to finally
defeat him." So
I hit it in the first stage.
and it drops like a weapon drop, so it's not guaranteed. You have to get your weapons upgrades and hopefully get it, and then don't die.
And then don't die. Yeah.
The goddess bracelet is a great ability. It's very much like your javelin, but it's just like a beam that you kind of shoot out, and
you have to use that to defeat Samael to finally clear the game.
The last couple bosses of the game are similar, and when you beat the one that initially sent you back to the beginning, it brings you to the final level, the secret skull, if it's from Mega Man, with the boss, and it's not a side scroller. He is just standing looking at you. It's a weird perspective for him, and you basically climb around him and hit him in the head to kill him there, versus the boss that just walked back and forth. He just kind of stands there, and I think he might sidestep a little bit. I can't remember.
Kind of reminiscent of a Sigma fight.
A little bit. Yeah, very, very, very similar. But again, this is Ghouls'n Ghosts, and you only got a couple of hit points, so...
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know how many stages there are offhand. It gets lost in there because if you're terrible at the game...
There are 7 stages.
If you're terrible at the game, you're just going to be playing the same stage repeatedly.
So it's a good thing that the stages are pretty and the music is catchy, and
for the most part, they're sort of short. There's usually 2 transitional periods, and then you fight a boss. First stage, in particular, we're going to go into at a later time for a stage select, but it follows that formula. There's a stage later on where the ghost ship, where you're on the ship, and then you have to ride a raft to the... Is it
a raft, or is it like just a single log?
No, it's a raft, and I believe pieces the log goes away.
Yeah, it's rough, but fun.
There were certain tropes back in the 90s that some games followed, so I could be confusing that.
It's true.
Like, this game's pretty fresh in my head, and I'm still forgetting things. And, like, this is one of those games, if you don't play it regularly, your skill set does deteriorate. It's a lot of muscle memory, twitch reflexes.
Knowing the stages.
What's coming, what's there. And even then, it's
there are actually times where having a good twitch reflex and reaction time
is detrimental.
Works against you.
It's like, I gotta go up. Oh, you just jumped into something.
Yep.
I don't have a lot of patience for games that just outright punish you and just whatnot. So the fact of the matter that I was able to actually complete this is beyond me, because like
how fun it is for how punishing it is.
I mean, I like Dark Souls, like the concept of it and whatnot. I just do not have the patience for it.
Which, in a weird roundabout way, is the spiritual successor to this franchise.
But there is some out-of-the-box thinking that you can do with this game. We mentioned that there are power-ups. Like I said, your first initial ability is a javelin. There's a dagger, there's a bow, there's a torch, there's a scythe. And when you get the armor power-up, the weapon powers up as well. So it's beneficial to not take hits and get those weapons powered up. And some of those weapon power-ups are just... They are game changers, literal game changers.
The arrow power-ups, because they're all like seekers and so on. Like, that'll get you through most things.
Right. I was thinking on the ice mountain, there's the boss there. I believe it summons ads.
Yeah.
But if you have that homing thing, just peg, home, and that's it. You won the fight. Just stay away from him.
Yep.
And it's pretty simple at that point. We said this game came out in 91?
91. Mm-hmm.
And it really does hold up to today. Mm-hmm. And what can you play it on nowadays?
Nowadays, well, you can play it on the original SNES. It's on the SNES emulator on the Switch, and there are several Capcom Classic collections that have been released on the PlayStation family, PS, PS2, PS3, PS Portable, to date. Nothing on the PS4 yet, but I'm sure eventually it'll come out.
With the Switch version, they offer a rewind feature, which, if you're trying to learn the game, it's a nice feature, but you'll soon realize, hey, I fixed my mistake here.
I made another one.
You're all of a sudden you're doing worse than you would be if you just start over. So this game,
I'm not really a fan of rewind features.
This game, I wouldn't say punishes save states and whatnot, but it doesn't help you learn. It doesn't help you learn at all. If you want to see the story and see the stages, by all means, try it. I feel like you're actually going to be playing the game longer than you would because it's like, oh, I took a hit, reload. Oh, I did this, reload.
Yep.
It's all of a sudden you're saving every 2 steps. I don't recommend that, but I do recommend playing this game on whatever platform that you can. It's a good one. It really is. It is frustrating. So if frustrating games aren't for you, then I'm hesitant to recommend it, but I would...
If you're like a Dark Souls fanboy, go for it.
But I would say at least give it a shot. Play a couple continues on the first stage. And if it's not for you, it's not for you. But I'm sure you can appreciate the platforming, what they put in there. Just because I don't care for Dark Souls playing it, I can appreciate what's there and whatnot, so...
To that note, make sure that you've got either the Japanese or the North American ports, unless you really want easy mode. There was some issues with the European port because the European system had a little less processing power, so they eliminated a whole bunch of enemies and traps to, basically to prevent slowdown, reduce slowdown of the sprites and so on. And the end result is that the game is much easier.
I think about games with slowdown, and I'm like... That slowdown saves me sometimes, and I kind of factor that into there. So it's like, oh, we've repolished this game. Where's the slowdown? I'm getting hits from this enemy. But I think also removing certain enemies in the game would also kind of throw me off too. It's like, I know there's a fire band over here, and I'm planning on doing this. Oh, there's nothing, and then. Okay,
there's supposed to be a skull flower there.
You start going along, all of a sudden, then here's another fire band because you weren't expecting him now, and now here he is, and yeah. But I'd recommend it. I'd give this. I'd say 4.5 out of 5. I'm feeling pretty generous with this one.
This is a 5 out of 5.
5 out of 5.
One of my favorite games, actually. So we've talked a fair deal about how it looks and it holds up well and so on. What about the other pillars of gaming? How does it control?
Like I said. It is your fault if you die. I don't want to say there's input lag per se, but when you jump, there is a pseudo-slight delay between when you press it and to when he actually jumps on the screen.
Product functioning as intended. It's very similar to the lag with the Belmonts when they jump.
Also, in Bonk's Adventure, Bonk's Revenge, there's a slight... Like the knees bend down before you go. It's like that.
And like I said, it's in there intentionally. It's not a design flaw.
Arthur has a double jump, and the double jump is spot on compared to that first jump, I think.
Except, the second jump you have a lot less control over the direction.
You have less control over it, but like when you press it, it does it immediately versus the initial jump. I'm not sure why it was intended that way, but...
It increases the difficulty. It makes you think before you act, basically. Same way when you're playing as a Belmont, you have to think before you
or else
jump,
you're gonna get knocked into a hole.
Your sense of timing is a little bit off because the whip has to charge up over his shoulder before he sends it. Same idea.
Yep. Like I said, I gave this a 4.5 out of 5 because everything... Like these pillars that you're talking about, like I said, the control is spot on.
Are great. Yep.
Visually, it's a great game. Once you get past the first stage, there's a lot of cool visuals that go on. The intestines, not so much. It
pushes the 16-bit graphics
for the time. I mean, there are definitely games that look better than this that came out after, but for 1991, this is a pretty game, and Capcom did very, very well with it. Okay. The sound
was my next.
It's great. That first stage is going to be stuck in your head, and I think it was Marvel vs. Capcom 3. Arthur was included in it, and I believe that track was in. I'm not 100% sure. I don't remember what made it into
that
Infinite.
Track or it was the fight with Lucifer, Samael. But it was one of those two tracks, and it is. Yeah, the music and the score for this game is gorgeous, and we'll play a little bit of it.
Even the game over music is a welcome tune. You're gonna get sick of it, I'm sure, but
absolutely. Before you get to that giant bird at the end of the first stage.
It is a very nice sounding thing. And I'm glad that this game created the spin-off Demon's Crest, because Demon's Crest is a phenomenal game too.
Which in turn created Dark Souls.
There's a lot of, hey, this did this. Yep. But this is This is
the gargoyle from Gargoyle's Quest is in this game.
Yeah, it's Fireman. Like I said, he's enemy towards the end of the game there.
The next thing would be story.
The story's very simple.
The story's very simple. There's not like a lot of chatty boxes or so on. You see the princess get kidnapped without any dialogue. You run to the right until you get to Samael. Then the princess shows up, tells you about the goddess bracelet, and sends you back. And then you run to the right again. Like it doesn't get any simpler than that. It's an old school Nintendo game. You rescue the princess. But
yeah, and sometimes that's all you need.
Sometimes a simple objective like that is all that's required.
And if you read the expanded history on it, it kind of makes sense why they're trying to kidnap this princess and whatnot.
She's the only one that knows what the goddess bracelet is, and that goddess bracelet is the thing that is required to permanently kill Samael.
Yep. And it's like she's the last of a specific bloodline and whatnot. They don't even get into that in this.
That's a lot of stuff that I would love to see this franchise continue, just to explore or expand on that stuff. Like, give me a Ghouls'n Ghosts RPG or a Diablo version of this, or even just another side-scrolling platformer that has more text boxes a la Castlevania.
Right.
You know?
I never played the games that came out on the PS2 that are, again, in this vein. Maximo, Ghost to Glory.
Yeah.
But...
Or the third entry into the franchise, which was 2006 on the PSP.
Wow.
Yeah, that's the last time we've had a main
Ghouls'n Ghosts?
Ghouls'n Ghosts title.
Yeah.
Yep. So it's been a minute.
Well, Capcom trademarked a bunch of things. I didn't see this on there, which is unfortunately, but it'd be nice. It'd be nice to see it. And Capcom's definitely pulled their heads out of their asses in the last few years. So,
and of course, the fifth and final pillar, replay.
Yes, totally replayable.
Absolutely. I mean, like we said, it's been 30 years and we still go back and play this thing periodically. It's a good game. Yeah,
thank you for dating us, which, I mean, people should know by now. We're old.
Okay, boomer.
Yeah, I'm not that old. But give it a go. I mean, give it a go.
Give it a shot.
It is an experience. And
give it a go, do that first stage, at least say you've beaten that first boss, then give up.
Yeah, but with that, good night, good gaming, and we'll see you next time. Hey, thanks for watching. We hope you enjoyed what you saw.
Let us know. Give us a like and a comment down below.
Don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell to make sure you get all notifications from us.
And as always,
good night
and good gaming.